Walk down any city street, catch a bus, or grab a coffee. We operate under the assumption that the ground is solid, the sky is predictable, and tomorrow will look roughly like today. This stability is a fabrication. Zoom out far enough and the city disappears, replaced by a violently hostile void. We are floating entirely unprotected, oblivious to the massive forces operating just outside our atmosphere. Human existence is a temporary, precarious bubble. At the macro scale of the cosmos, we are subject to systems that could quietly erase us without warning. This map shows the Great Attractor, an anomaly 250 million light-years away, dragging the Milky Way toward its center. Because it sits in our galactic plane, our galaxy's dense dust blocks our sight, leaving us completely blind to it. On the opposite side of the spectrum is the Bootes void. This spherical region of space measures 250 million light-years in diameter. Based on the average distance between galaxies elsewhere, this volume should contain 10,000 galaxies. We found roughly 60. There hasn't been enough time since the universe began for normal gravity to clear out a space of this size. One theory suggests the void is the result of an expanding Kardashev Scale 3 civilization, systematically dimming entire galaxies to harvest their energy. Whether we are dragged into an invisible mass or sit in the path of a rapidly expanding supercivilization, we possess no power to alter the outcome. Even our own sun holds the capacity to paralyze modern society. A coronal mass ejection, or CME, is a colossal burst of solar radiation that the sun throws into space on a frequent timescale. If a massive CME intersects with Earth's orbit, it acts as a global, non-stop electromagnetic pulse. The radiation would instantly fry modern electrical grids, ground all aircraft, and destroy the electronics used to distribute water and food. The last direct hit of this magnitude occurred during the Carrington event. In 1859, our most advanced technology consisted of telegraph wires. The surge of atmospheric electricity was so intense that these wires spontaneously burst into flames. A modern impact would leave us with a few days' warning before a total infrastructure collapse. We would be plunged into a catastrophic dark age that could take decades to recover from. The geological systems operating right under our feet are quietly ticking down to violent failures. Off the coast of Northern California up to southern Canada sits the Cascadia subduction zone. Geologic records indicate that this massive fault line ruptures roughly every 250 to 350 years. This timeline tracks those historical ruptures. The last major event occurred in January 1700. Based on the statistical average, a magnitude 9+ earthquake capable of flattening the North American West Coast is now overdue. Constructing population centers directly on top of mechanisms destined to snap is an act of geological hubris. The oceans operate as a life support engine, reliant on the global conveyor belt. This system requires dense, salty water at the poles to sink to the bottom, pushing heat across the globe. Rising temperatures are accelerating the melting of massive ice sheets. This dumps fresh water directly into the North Atlantic, diluting the salt concentrations necessary for the dense water to sink. This diagram illustrates the global currents. If the salt dilution prevents deep water formation, the ocean loses its momentum. The heat distribution conveyor belt stops, representing a mechanical failure of the engine that keeps our planet habitable. This is not just a gradual warming, it is the stall of the planetary system that regulates our climate. On the surface, the math supporting human agriculture is failing. We are polluting topsoil and draining underground aquifers so rapidly that we face global water scarcity and food shortages within the next 50 years. The food we do grow is becoming less nutritious. Increased atmospheric CO2 causes plants to produce more carbohydrates and sugars, but their essential mineral and protein content is not increasing. We are producing more total calories, but fewer nutrients. The air itself is becoming a threat via the wet bulb effect. If humidity reaches 100%, human sweat can no longer evaporate to cool the body. In these conditions, temperatures as low as 95 degrees Fahrenheit can become lethal, even to healthy people resting in the shade. Earth is becoming a place where the soil is depleted, the food is hollow, and the summer air is too thick to survive in. The medical interventions we trust to save us operate on much thinner margins than we assume. This chart shows the survival rate of cardiopulmonary resuscitation. While the public often assumes a 75% success rate, the actual survival rate for out-of-hospital cardiac arrest is barely 10%. Performing chest compressions correctly requires heavy force. Medical professionals often shift cartilage and break the patient's ribs just to force the heart to keep pumping. Our pharmacological defenses are also eroding. Decades of antibiotic misuse have allowed bacterial strains to evolve resistance. Infections that were treatable for 70 years are becoming deadly again as they mutate beyond our current medications. These failures suggest our medical defenses are an illusion. Our bodies remain largely defenseless against microscopic and physical trauma. Inside the human brain, biological threats often mature for decades in total silence. If a patient is diagnosed with Alzheimer's at age 65, they have likely harbored the disease since their early 40s. For over 20 years, the brain deteriorates and overcompensates for the damage while hiding the symptoms. Once noticed, the severe damage is irreversible. On a cellular level, daily exposure to UV light and environmental toxins causes continuous DNA damage. Because genetic replication is imperfect, mutated cancerous cells are likely growing inside your body right now. You do not need an external threat to face mortality. Your own biology is pre-programmed to destroy itself. The structural fragility of the body is most apparent in how we maintain our own history. Scar tissue is not a permanent fix. The body requires constant vitamin C to maintain the collagen bonds of every scar you have. Without it, the body stops this maintenance, and your old surgical incisions and wounds will literally unzip from the inside out. This visualization shows the mechanism of a prion. It is a misfolded protein that, upon contact, triggers a cascading chain reaction that corrupts healthy proteins in the brain. Prions are fatal in 100% of cases. We have no cure, and they can strike anyone at random. Once symptoms appear, neurodegeneration will cause death within 2 years. From massive gravitational anomalies to a single protein misfolding in your brain, humanity operates with absolutely zero control. Sweet dreams.